Hi everybody, I'm Billie Flynn, Senior F35 test pilot for Lockheed Martin. We're really sorry we can't be there in person this year. We'd love to show off the jet and tell you about what the F35 can do, but it's not going to happen during this COVID-19 crisis. Behind me, you can see that we're fabricating F-35s. We have created a safe work environment for our subcontractors and the men and women that build the F-35. We're building them, we're flying them, and we're testing them because the world hasn't stopped and our F-35 operators need to have this jet in the air to protect the men and women around the world. It is the most complex aerial vehicle ever made, and the precision it takes to fabricate an F-35 to ensure that everything works every single time is an enormous task, and we haven't lost sight of that goal even during the COVID-19 crisis. Now that Belgium has selected the F-35, Belgian industry will be involved in the fabrication and sustainment of this jet now and for many decades in the future. That's a level of technology that was unheard of in previous legacy fighter programs. But the F-35 is a new generation. This is the F-35A, fifth generation stealth fighter, the most advanced combat fighter in the world today. So let's talk about some really interesting parts of this airplane. As a stealth fighter, it is almost impossible to detect in the air. And that is all generated by the geometrical shape of the airplane so that the edges don't reflect radar energy that otherwise would hit an aircraft and bounce back and be seen. That doesn't happen in an F-35. Every panel, every access that the maintenance technicians would have to get to has those jagged edges. And when we close it all up on every single day we fly, this aircraft becomes stealthy and undetectable. And why is that important? It's survivability. And everyone expects the men and women that fly an F-35 to come back every single time. And stealth is one of the biggest reasons why that will happen. So here are some of the interesting systems. It has a very sophisticated electronic sensor array, a radar in old days. There's 1,000 little electronic arrays right up here in the front of the aircraft. And they look everywhere around and see at the same time everything in the air and on the ground. This is the electro-optical targeting system. It's housed in a sapphire glass nose. It allows us to focus and zoom in on anything on the ground or in the air that we want to see with extraordinary fidelity so that we know exactly what we're attacking. Inside the aircraft, we can house a combination of many radar missiles or a combination of bombs and missiles. Once those weapon bay doors close and we're in the air, we don't have the drag and we're not less maneuverable like we were in legacy old aircraft where those bombs and missiles hung from the outside and slowed us down. This aircraft has a single engine built by Pratt & Whitney. It is the most powerful fighter engine ever developed and the most efficient. It's hidden in the back here. You see the jagged edges of the nozzle, 43,000 pounds of thrust. That's more than the thrust of the two engines of an F-18 in full afterburner we get from this single engine. It allows us to go 1.6 times the speed of sound, allows us to go further in the air or stay longer over our mission than any engine ever in history. This airplane holds nearly 9,000 kilograms of fuel. And what does that mean? Well, that again is more than all the fuel that can be carried by an F-16 or an F-18 or a Eurofighter Typhoon, even with all their fuel tanks hanging from the bottom of the airplane, which we don't have. And why is that important? Well, our missions are long distances from home. And for us to get to where we're going to do our mission, to do our patrols, we need the fuel to get us there. And once we're there, when we're actually doing the mission, that's why we want all that extra gas, to allow us to stay on station, to patrol, to surveil, to see everything around us. So now let me talk about the coolest part of the F-35. This is my helmet. So let's be really clear. This is as good as Tony Stark wore in the Iron Man and Avenger movies that we all love. It's the helmet for the F-35, and it does some really magical things. We have two cameras in the front, and they project images on this clear screen we see in front of us. It shows us how fast we're going, how high we are, what heading we are, and information about the weapons that we need to pay attention to. We feed in imagery from cameras just like this. This is the part of the distributed aperture system. There are 6 infrared cameras. The 6 cameras build a spherical, round image about the airplane. And wherever I look, wherever I point my helmet, that hot and cold imagery is presented to me. Enough so that if I chose to look down between my legs underneath the aircraft, I would see all the imagery underneath me. And I turn nighttime into day, and the pilot in the F-35 all of a sudden sees everything around when otherwise it would be as black as imaginable. And that gives us the situational awareness, that gives us the safety as we fly the aircraft so that we know everything that exists wherever we fly. It is really as cool as any space movie we've ever seen. Well, that's our quick tour of the F-35, 5th generation multi-role stealth fighter. The future of fighter aviation now and for the many, many decades to come. Hope you've enjoyed the tour, seen some of the tech, and see why we think this is really, it's like a spaceship. Now remember, stay safe out there, mask up, and we'll see you soon.